Excellent. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Likewise, it's such a joy to be here.
So let's begin our journey into your work and your very interesting path to now by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic changed so much for all of us. How did you get through the pandemic of 2020, and how has living through that affected you today?
Oh, that's so interesting. I was very, the pandemic for me was such a weird experience because I got stranded in my own, in the country where I was born in Bulgaria. But I hadn't lived in Bulgaria for many, many years. So it was such a strange experience to spend nearly, I think I couldn't get out of there for like at least a year or so.
Wow.
And I was at the time I had a boyfriend and we were, we couldn't see each other for a very long time because of the shutdown of the borders. And so the pandemic changed everything. I mean, I think it changed a lot for all of us. For me, the way it affected me, it affected very strongly my worldviews, my political views, my perception and trust in institutions, my sort of attitude towards general healthcare systems, even if you wish. But it also really affected my perception of space and geography, and physical location, and how less and less sort of less and less it mattered where exactly you are for you to be able to be impactful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's on top of my mind.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I know on paper you're an entrepreneur, you're a creative, you're a philanthropist, but to get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis, I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career day, and the kid in the back of the room wants to know, what do you do for a living?
I create events. That's the simplest way of explaining it. I love to create, to bring people together, to create a certain experience that these people can share. After I went through my own sort of personal transformation, I started creating a lot more sort of artistic experiences, way more in the space of music and art and creativity and so on, and a lot more in the space of wellness. So, bringing people together, creating a shared experience. We connect to ourselves, we connect to each other, we bring friendships, build relationships, and we dream together. So this is what I do.
So I would think after the pandemic, with this increased awareness of mental health and the need for being around humans, which we were separated from for so long, has this only enlivened and enriched your business model?
Very much so. I feel like not only as a result of the pandemic, but I would say even nowadays as a result of these incredible technological advancements that are happening, especially in the context of AI. I think one of the things that are sort of is having a renaissance, or is becoming more and more sought after, is this in-person kind of community, gatherings that really cannot be replaced, even though we can gather online and we can have events online and so on. It's really not the same, and that's one of the things we learned over the pandemic, is that we can have online conferences and online whatever, concerts, even if you wish, but it simply can't replace the in-person experience. And I'm so excited and so happy to be in a place where um, steering this forward and kind of watching it evolve and grow and become more and more integral to our everyday lives, is very exciting. So yeah.
So let me ask you this. When you were 12 years old, what was your dream job? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, when I was 12 years old, I wanted to be a president.
Okay. Did you pursue politics at all?
I pursued that dream up until a few years ago, actually. I was at the tip of sort of entering the political world of my home country of Bulgaria. But yeah, I had this moment of epiphany when I realized that this was never my dream; it was my family's dream.
Right.
So I decided to take a step back and find my own dream.
So in that pivot, take me back to your beginnings and your roots. How did these seeds get sown for you to become a creative, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist? How did all of this evolution become who you are today?
So I was born in communist Bulgaria in the late 80s. And shortly after I was born, 3 years later, the communist regime collapsed, and we had a very brutal change of system in the country. My grandparents on my father's side were politicians, they were communists. And so the family really lost everything after that change. And so um, one of the things that happened was that my sort of grandmother really wanted me to continue her mission and her legacy and to continue her political career because she couldn't anymore. And so I was raised from a very, very early age to become a politician, to go into politics and to continue the legacy of my grandmother. I took that very seriously. I took it to heart, pursued it with everything I had. Like I threw everything at it. And that took me on the road of working in the nonprofit space, working at a very, very high political and international organizations level around the refugee crisis globally, working with some of the most powerful people in the world in terms of heads of states, heads of UN, heads of World Bank, and so on and so forth. Some of the biggest celebrities of our time and so on. And when that kind of path had kind of come to its, let's say, maximum expression, I was approached to potentially consider going into politics in my own country. And that's when, as I mentioned, I had this moment of awakening when I was like, oh my God, I don't think that this is what I want to do. I think that's what my grandmother wanted me to do, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when like a very major sort of moment of kind of identity falling apart and a search for meaning and search for truth really happened in my life. And that's when I started kind of, okay, if I'm not a politician, then am I? Because I never understood myself in any other way, and that's when I was like, okay, well, I am a philanthropist because I do care and I've done a lot of work in that space, and that came from my heart. It didn't come from anywhere else. And I'm also a creative, and I am an entrepreneur, and so right now those are sort of after removing all the layers that were sort of not really mine and were false, those are the ones that kind of stayed at the moment. It's
So
been a journey.
for sure. Well, and speaking of the journey, reading through your bio, you've had to overcome some health and mental health challenges. Who has been that inspirational force, that hero in your life that's allowed you to not only pivot, but to overcome and evolve into who you are today?
I don't know if I had a hero. I mean, I guess like I was my own hero, to be very honest with you. Like I came to a point in my life where I was not doing well. I was doing well in the outer world, like everything looked amazing in terms of success and status and all of that, but I was not feeling well at all. And at some point, my body started not feeling well, and I needed to start fighting for myself. And that's when this sort of inner journey really began, and I started really healing for mental health and physical health. And the inspiration was to find my truth, like to I don't know, like I think what the really like strong driving force was that I couldn't face the possibility of living this life without having discovered who I truly am. And that I couldn't live with. So that's what kept me going through some really, really challenging times. But I mean, I don't think there's ever was like a person or a hero or someone that I kind of aspired to be. It was more like I need to find the truth, and I'm willing to go all the way until I find it.
So, of all of these events that you've orchestrated, what was one of the early instrumental ones that made you not only think and feel that you picked the right path in life, but it was monumental in your growth or a memorable experience for you?
Um, I've been really fortunate because I life put me in these really interesting sort of circles from a very young age, you know. And so there've been a few very pivotal moments in my career and in my life where life sort of showed me that I can dream as big as I can, you know. And the only limit that I will create will be the one that I create, you know. I was like, um, I think like 28 years old or something like that when I spoke in public for the first time. This was my first ever public speaking engagement. And I will never forget that moment. I was in Davos at the World Economic Forum, and I had to present and host Tony Blair at an event, right? And so it was like one of the most terrifying moments of my life because, like, you know, it's Tony Blair. And it was the first time I ever held a mic, you know, in front of people. So um, it was a moment of like small death, let's say, because I was so nervous and so scared to do that. But at the same time, like actually living through this opened up my mind and my heart for in a way limitless possibilities, you know. And it really showed me that, you know, whatever you're dreaming, you can and should dream bigger because life is full of opportunities. And I really learned that lesson and has been kind of a guiding principle for me since that moment.
So, what gets you up every day? What motivates you to do the work that you do?
What gets me up every day is that incredible passion to live life at its fullest. I it's not it's not just work, it's not just play, it's not just love, it's not just relationship. It's like every single aspect of this experience we have in these bodies, in this moment, in this, you know, in this, for me is fascinating. And I am very excited to live every single moment of my life as much as I can. And at the same time, I'm so excited to keep really like discovering my true colors, my true nature, my true authentic self. That has been like a very interesting journey for me, and one that keeps me very much engaged, you know. And being able to, once I connect to my authenticity, then being able to express it, you know, and not be afraid or not be ashamed or not be contracted or not be, you know, sort of hesitant to be who I am, is really my reason to live.
So, with everything that you're doing professionally, you obviously have your life and your own soul to take care of. How do you balance that? Do you look at your day as a balance between work and your personal life? How have you done that? What's your philosophy on that?
My philosophy is that I think separating work, I think this whole concept of like work-life balance is kind of weird because for me, everything is one. Like I live when I work, and, you know, and I work when I live, if you wish. And, you know, the way I spend my days is like, you know, it's all kind of moving together in this stream of like of experiences and you know. And I don't know, I work as much as I work. I'm also, that's also my personal life. I don't know, like I don't think of work as a separate chunk of my human experience. It's like work is part of my creativity. It's how I create, it's how I express myself, and is as valid as, you know, my personal life, which I think creativity is also a very personal thing. So for me, those lines are really blurred, and I don't, again, like I'm also I am in a very sort of different place from many people because, and many women, because I'm not married and I don't have children, so that makes things a lot more easier to kind of manage and organize, I guess. So I can speak from that place.
Yeah.
But the way my life kind of functions right now is there's no fixed lines between having this interview with you or going for a coffee with a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
It all flows together.
Blends. Yeah.
Mm.
So let me ask you this. I- If you were to have a drink tonight, you ran into an 18-year-old version of you trying to figure out your life, whether you're going to go into politics, how you're going to live your life, what your passions are, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've chosen, the wisdom you've accumulated. What advice would you give that young version of you?
Um, One of the most important lessons I've learned at the age of my life it's cliched, obviously, because I think one of the most truthful things, they are cliched because they're universal in a way, is like is really do what scares you, like follow your fear. If something makes you, it scares you, it's exactly where you need to go, and trust yourself to know, um that it's just an illusion, and truth and beauty and joy are on the other side of fear,
Yeah.
and your true maximum expression is on the other side of fear. So if I could if there's one thing I would tell my, the 18-year-old version of me, would be like, treat fear as a compass, and just follow that, and it will take you to the most wonderful places in life.
So, if you were to walk into a room with all the clients that you've worked with throughout the years that know you in a professional sense, and you could tell them one fun story, maybe one of the best events that you ever went to, the first concert you saw, a really wonderful place on the planet that you visited that was magic and unexpectedly enchanting, what would you tell that room? What would you tell that room? A fun story.
Right now,
Yeah.
um a few months ago, I went to Africa, and I had the most mind-blowing experience of my life. I had a psychedelic sort of ceremony with a plant called iboga, and a tribe called the Bwiti tribe, which is originally a tribe from Gabon. And I went through like a 48-hour sort of ceremony of sitting with that plant, taking that plant, experiencing its magic, and its wisdom, and but at the same time mixed with the tradition and culture of the tribe, and all the dance and all the singing and all the clothing and everything that they cultivated for so many years. And it was one of the most mind-bending experiences of my life, like to the point where you're sitting there and you're like, I don't even know how did I get here? Like, how on earth am I having this experience? This is so like outside of any form of my imagination.
Yeah.
um and it's so amazing because I absolutely adore, being in situations that are completely out of this, out of everything I know, like shocking, intense, different, and so on, uncomfortable. So if I could, address all my former partners, clients, or whatever, I would encourage them to explore this. And if they feel like, that there's curiosity and it's something they would like to experience, to definitely give it a try, because it's a once in a lifetime experience, and it's definitely like life changing. I don't think it's for everyone.
Yeah.
That's a disclaimer. I don't think it's for everyone. That's why I say, if you feel curious about it, maybe that's a path to
Yeah.
follow,
Wow. That's a great story. So let me ask you this. Of everything that you've done in your life, everything you've accomplished, evolved to, what are you ultimately the happiest about?
I'm the proudest and the happiest about taking that incredibly brave and courageous leap of faith and throwing everything I had built for over a decade away for the sake of searching for myself. And having gone through this over the past 3 years now, what I discovered is this beautiful, intimate connection to myself, this incredible getting to know myself and to discover who I truly am, and to give myself the permission and the love to express it and to follow it and to be, to be who I am. And this, if it's a hard choice, it's not an easy choice. And even today, it's a hard choice because the world is not necessarily structured like that. We are it, it's it or it's structured in a way where we kind of have to fit in certain boxes, and when you choose to not fit in a box, it kind of gets uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is this everlasting sense of happiness and joy that nothing and no one can take away from me right now.
Yeah.
It's become my way of being, and even when I'm sad, I still have that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really the most precious thing in my life.
There was a piano player that came through Kansas City. He's a blind jazz pianist. He's a virtuoso. He's amazing. His name's Matthew Whitaker. And after I got, it was an amazing show. It was like he channeled Stevie Wonder. The energy
Wow,
was wonderful. It was just this incredible. He was oscillating between a piano and an organ, and he was shouting, and he was just so exuberant. and
amazing.
and I'd interviewed him before, but when I saw it in person, I thought the most wondrous thing about him is that he is this enormous absolute ray of light that will not be dented by any of the ills the world will try to put on him. He is going to just shine, and it pays homage to what you just said. I mean, just
Mm.
having that unbreakable spirit of not wavering no matter what, and that's huge. Um, so let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone that works with you, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm like constantly changing, and thank God. you know um I guess like what kind of remains through all the versions of me is I think, yeah, I carry a sense of joy no matter what. um I have a really good sense of humor. I'm a person that's very loving and caring and nurturing to the people around me. Um, um, and 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 I'm really inspired, like I'm inspired by life and and everything that this entails just inspires me constantly. So yeah, I guess that's how I would describe myself. And it's so interesting. Nobody asked me that question, and it's so interesting because a few years ago, I would have described myself with my job. You
Yeah.
know, I would have been a bunch of titles and a bunch of big names and a bunch of really kind of fancy things, and that would have been my identity. And so when I say like how grateful and how happy I am for having done this work and having truly connected to who I am, this is what I mean, because now my value is not my title. Even though I do wonderful work and I still work at a very high level and I create beautiful things, but that's not what makes me a worthy human being. What makes me a person that is valuable and is worth your time is my inner qualities, and and my personality and my and that's enough.
Yeah.
And having arrived at that has been a major battle, so
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy to get this realization thanks to your questions.
So let me ask you this. If anyone wants to reach out, they want to learn more, any of the good business, where do they go?
They can go to my Instagram account. I go as just Natalini. I post everything there. I share a lot of behind the scenes work, a lot of work with the every single event that's being produced or is coming up is shared over there. So please follow me and feel free to reach out. I also do this once a month support sort of online group for women recovering from abuse and recovering from anything that's kind of making their days difficult at the moment. We come together, we share, we talk. It's absolutely for free. It's just for us to to heal in community. So yeah, go on my Instagram and yeah, there's a lot over there.
Excellent. I will put all that in the show notes. Natalini, this has been so nice. Thank you so much for your being open, for your story, and best of luck. I love that painting over there, that next to you.
Thank you. It's a friend of mine. It's beautiful, right?
It's great. I dig it. Yeah.
You know what's the title?
What's that?
I look at the past and I laugh.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That is very fitting. Very fitting.
Very fitting indeed.
Yeah. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you all the best.
Same to you. Thank you.
Looking to get new clients to your business through cold calling or email marketing? At Agency Y, they envision a world in which small and big companies have equal chances to win new customers in the market. Their purpose is to bring parity and reduce the gap between large and small firms with the help of their cold calling and cold email marketing services. Use the code Joe Dimino 10 at www.agencyyyy.org/coldcallingjoe.php or www.agencyyyy.org/emailmarketingjoe.php to get 10% off your first order. This is Joe Dimino of Neon Jazz and Famous Interviews, and I stand behind Agency Y to meet your business dreams.